All right, guys, welcome to the Strickland's Round 2 Preview Super Show Q&A Live Extravaganza. I'm here with Schwinny Poo, the host of Pod Strickland. How are you doing, Schwinn?
I'm doing well. Just showered, so I look good for everybody in the live stream.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
also here with FBL Sam, the host of The Run Down here on the Strickland. How you doing, Sam?
Tired, just rolled out of bed. That teacher life makes you super exhausted. So yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
always
we do
crying
have.
about being a teacher.
Hey, he's allowed. He's allowed. He's allowed. We do have a short set of questions from our Discord and from Twitter. We can get through those, but we also are encouraging questions in chat, and we have some Schwinn shenanigans to get to as well, I heard. So we'll see. We'll see. I guess we could start with some questions, though.
Let's do
The
it.
first one comes from Tokyo Sex Whale, who asks, "Can Zach say my name on the stream today?" I just said it. I will say it again. Tokyo Sex Whale.
I don't know
Welcome.
if it's actually pronounced Sexwell because it's the actual person.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Sex Wale.
Wale?
Yeah,
Tokyo
I think
Sex
so.
Wale.
Yeah.
Welcome. There you go. I answered the first question and I said the name after I evaded the name for our entire stream last time.
Nice.
Okay. Our first actual question, though, comes from Duder Adam, who asks, "Which player matchup in the Knicks Heat series are you most confident in, and which one are you least confident in?" And then we also had a similar question from Jordan Bubb, who just asked, "What are some interesting matchups?" So I guess we can start with our favorite, our least favorite, our most confident player matchups here. Schwinn, I'll give it to you first.
The one I'm most confident in, I would probably say just Brunson in general. It's kind of weird because I haven't been that confident in him in the various games we played against Miami. Because I think he has a tendency when he faces traps and pressures and blitzes and pick and roll to try and split them or dribble around them or whatever. And I didn't like that much in the regular season, but I thought, seeing what Cleveland threw at him in the first round and then how he adapted as the series went on and how Tibbs adapted and gave him different options makes me a lot more confident. So I think that's the one I'm pretty confident in. And honestly, even if they put Butler on him, to me, that's a win because generally they don't like putting Butler on another team's best scorer necessarily. They like to have him roam around. So if that happens, effectively, like not it doesn't work exactly like this, but like if Butler is on Brunson, you can almost try and play 4-on-4, and have Brunson space out. Now, obviously, that requires their guys to capitalize on it, which brings me to the second matchup that I'm most confident in, which is crazy because 2 weeks ago I was ready to. I was pulling my hair out over this man, but RJ Barrett over basically anybody because I really don't think they're going to put Butler on him. They haven't really used Butler on him since I want to say his rookie season. Really, I know they used him on. They've switched him on him, every now and then and use him there like, for certain segments of the game. But he's not usually the primary RJ defender. So and like again, this is kind of why they're tied together, Brunson and RJ, because if Butler is on RJ, then Brunson gets to go against one of their weaker defenders, or like, somebody like Gabe Vincent, who's a good, aka dirty defender. But like I think Brunson can definitely get the best of him for sure. So if Butler is put on RJ, then that frees up Brunson. If Butler's on Brunson, then that frees up RJ. And to the point about RJ, like they don't have a good matchup for him really. Vincent's again like a good defender, dirty defender, but RJ should be able to overpower him in a way that Middleton, Middleton's a really skilled player, and at his best, he was a really awesome offensive player. He's just not that guy anymore, I don't think. So I think RJ can bully him in a way Middleton couldn't. I think, are you going to put what, like, who's the one they have? What, do they have Cody Martin or the other one?
Caleb, I
I
believe.
believe they have Caleb. Yeah.
Okay, they have Caleb. Cool. Whichever. It doesn't really matter. RJ should be able to bully him or push him around. Oladipo's out, so they're gonna throw Lowry at him. As long as RJ stays away from trying to post up Lowry, which he's done in the past a few times and not really had great success with, if he sticks to looking to drive on him, that's a matchup he should have success in. So I think those are the two that really drive success. And then, I mean, this isn't really a matchup, and I wouldn't say it's not really a specific matchup, but I do think quickly Hartenstein, I'll talk about them later a little bit more, but like those guys are really key to me, and Obi for that matter, in terms of capitalizing on the Miami's pressure defense when they throw blitzes at ball handlers, traps, whatever. Those guys are going to be really, really critical to winning this series, and they have been critical throughout the season in the Knicks winning 3 of 4 against Miami. So those are probably my positive matchups. The ones that I'm not so sure about, Obi on defense, and honestly Randall on defense when he gets back. I didn't include Randall in the positives because I just don't know when he's going to be back. But
He was
defensively,
also, I'll announce right now that right when we started our stream at 1 o'clock, Begley tweeted that Randall and Grimes are both questionable for Monday.
okay, so Randall's
or
playing.
Sunday.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, I'll see how Randall looks before I make any judgment on it. But defensively, I'm worried about him a little bit, or not a little bit, quite a bit. Him and Obi. He's been more checked in defensively than he was in that last Miami game that he got injured in. But that last Miami game he got injured in was awful. And Randall has this habit of if he doesn't respect the guy he's guarding, then he just doesn't guard him at all. And you see, like I've seen that in multiple games against Miami this year, where he's, Caleb Martin will check in, he'll be the 4 effectively in their lineup, and Randall is just like, okay, don't care, like not defending him at all, gives him wide open threes. Obi, better effort, but has a tendency to get lost, can concede wide open threes. So those two I'm worried about defensively. I think Miami can capitalize on that. It's important that they stay locked in. And at least if they're not super locked in, at least, rotate out, contest the shot. I have faith in Obi to do that. We know the Randall, it just depends on which Randall you're getting. So that's a big one. And then Brunson, I'm worried about him defensively. We saw the last 2 times we played Miami. I mean, they literally hunted him with like Gabe Vincent, and he got cooked.
Kyle Lowry had his number 1 game too.
Yeah. So he's got to be focused. He's got to step up. He's never going to be the greatest defender, but you got to give a better effort than he did in a couple of those games. And those are really the 2 things I'm most concerned about. I would say like handling the pressure, that stuff generally, but that's not a matchup. Those are the matchups I'm honestly most worried about. And I guess like depending on Tibbs, a little worried about Mitch offensively in this series, depending on how they use him. But I'm actually very optimistic about this, considering how Tibbs has adapted this season. So, what a time to be alive!
Imagine saying those words 6 months ago.
I could not.
Yeah, Sam, what are your matchups you're liking, you're not liking?
Matchups I'm liking. I'm liking the tandem of Hart and Mitchell Robinson, looking to see if they can continue to cause havoc on the offensive glass. The Heat, they're still body short. I mean, they're gonna have Kevin Love most likely starting this game, and probably Bam Adebayo. They're both undersized compared to Mitch, and we saw what Mitch just did to 2 7-footers essentially. Granted, those 2 7-footers are built like toothpicks, but you got little bigger bodies with Bam and Kevin Love. But I will see if like the Heat try to do that gang rebounding thing of trying to put multiple bodies on Mitch on the offensive and defensive glass, and if that allows for guys like Hart, RJ to get those offensive rebounds for us to be able to get those second chance opportunities, because hopefully we're able to make our shots in this series. If not, it's going to come down to like getting extra possessions like we did in the Cavs series, and just hoping that those 2 guys can continue their work on the glass. Matchups that I'm not so strong about, I don't know if I'm really not that worried about any matchups in particularly, just because like Schwinn said, like we've seen how this team has handled all the different stuff that we were worried about in the Cavs series, like traps, etc. The one thing I am worried about, I would say at least, is the zone defense that Miami loves to play. They love to play zone a whole bunch. And to beat a zone, you have to do certain things, and one of those things is especially shoot the ball well. The Knicks did not do that in the Cavs series. So you're just hoping things just even out for the Knicks shooting wise. You're hoping that Grimes gets going from 3. You're hoping that Jalen Brunson's able to hit some threes, like he was in the Cavs series. You're hoping Quickly's able to hit some threes. So just hoping those guys get going from 3. Fuck you, Tyrese. I do not like Trevor Keels.
I don't like Dino Udre.
I wasn't sure if he was saying that you look like Trevor Keels or me. So
okay.
It's one of us. You're Benno. You're Benno. You have no
I've
option.
That's for a fact.
gotten Mo Wagner, Benno, and who was the other one I got on the last stream? It was Tyrese called me a name. I forgot it though.
John Morant.
No, definitely not John Morant. It was another white player. Yeah, but
But yeah, I mean
one-
that's it for me with those.
yeah. I think my favorite matchup in this series is going to be Kevin Love on Julius Randle. If that happens, they're probably going to start with Bam on Randle, but I would like to see like the Knicks just force Love to get involved on these actions and force Love to switch on Randle, and Randle just has to cook him every single time and just bring him to the rim and body him at the rim. Matchups I'm like terrified for. There isn't one that's like I'm losing sleep over, but I am a little worried about Brunson. I'm worried about putting Jimmy on Brunson, or even Lowry can be pesty in these playoff games on Brunson, but we'll see. He'll be able to capitalize on stuff. So there isn't anything I'm too scared about. But our next question, though, this one's a little bit more silly, from disingenuous editor. Would you rather the entire team drink 5 of the Starbucks collab drinks from RJ Barrett before the game, or everybody on the team have one of the Josh Hart sandwiches from Comfortland in Queens?
This is easy. It's the drink.
Easy.
It's the drink.
What?
I don't want them
going with the sandwich. I was going with the sandwich.
And that
5
sandwich
of
is
those
like
drinks?
I'd rather have 5 of those. Did you see the sandwich? That sandwich is
like
like
good. It would look like a good sandwich.
It's not a fucking pregame meal. I don't want them eating some disgusting ass not disgusting,
drinks?
disgusting in a good way, obviously. But it is like an unhealthy ass sandwich.
Can we get a sandwich breakdown? Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, pull the breakdown here. But these guys drink like 7 gallons of Gatorade and they're all ripped as hell. Like I don't think anything RJ Barrett has them drinking is fine. I mean, RJ Barrett's probably been, slamming shots in the Lower East Side all year until the last month, which is why he got it together here. So I think they'll be fine if they have 5 of RJ's shitty ass Starbucks drinks that he's promoting.
Well, the Heart and Soul sandwich from Comfortland Deli in Queens, for those who are unaware, it has Nashville hot chicken, mozzarella cheese, mozzarella sticks, and ranch on a Portuguese roll.
Yeah, this is what you want them. You want them eating one of these.
One sandwich? Come on, these guys are NBA players. These guys can handle one sandwich. They're not have my stomach. Like they'll be good after one sandwich.
Ridiculous. No, I don't want them eating that before a fucking game.
You're underestimating how much sugar is in 5 of those pink Starbucks.
Good. Let them have a bunch of sugar. That's great. And then we can give them 5 more at halftime, and they'll be fine. They'll get through the game.
Okay.
It'll be fantastic.
Couldn't agree to disagree.
Yeah,
Sam, what are you sandwich or Starbucks?
Have them rip some lines at halftime to get.
I'm not a Starbucks person. I'm not like a caffeine consumer.
How? You're a teacher that cries about waking up at 5 in the morning every day.
It's crazy, right? But I'm running off straight adrenaline every single day. So there's that. Wow. But I mean that sandwich sounds insane.
It looks delicious.
I'm sure it's phenomenal. That's not my concern about it at
all. But if I were to choose one, I don't know, because I don't consume caffeine, and I'm not a big I have a cup
you not
of water.
Like food either?
I'm not like a big like grotesque sandwich eater.
Grotesque.
It's nothing grotesque about it's. I mean, it's very American, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very American sandwich.
The great American meal. I don't know what you're talking about, grotesque.
I don't want the sandwich is out, man. You got them eating basically a fucking chicken tender on a roll with mozzarella sticks and mozzarella cheese. Because there's already there's already mozzarella cheese in the mozzarella sticks, but that's not enough. We got to get mozzarella cheese on top of it all. Also, get the fuck out of here, Zach. That's insane that you want them eating this shit for a game.
It's only one sandwich. I mean, these guys.
It's one sandwich. It's probably the size of it's probably like a fucking footlong.
Okay. Hey, we're done with this. The sandwich Starbucks question. This one's another nice one from Tokyo Sex Wale / Sex Whale / whatever his name is. Should league partner accounts be allowed to make fun of NBA teams?
Yes. Yes, they should.
They should be encouraged.
It's this is. I actually think this is an interesting conversation because I think it's fine to make fun of teams as long as it's actually logical and makes sense and is within reason. It is fine to make fun of the Knicks for sucking ass for 20 years. What it's not fine to do is be oh my God, the Knicks didn't tank hard enough for Zion or John Morant. It's no, they literally did. They had the best odds. They had the best odds. You can't be they didn't do it well enough. No, they had the best odds. I think that and that's the stuff that actually pisses me off. like, and if anybody doesn't know, the big, huge, diehard Knicks fan, Hardwood Paroxysm, at HP Basketball on Twitter, had like a mental breakdown because
Fuck that guy.
yeah, fuck him. He had like a mental breakdown because SportsCenter made fun of John Morant saying, "I'm fine in the West," which, like, by the way,
which was a great tweet. It was a good video, a highly
rare,
well-done, rare
very
good moment from ESPN.
Yeah, rare good meme, and it's like first of all, everybody's been making fun of that for a while now because it's hilarious that he said that, and then like one, his personal season went to shit, and then two, the Grizzlies season went to shit, and then three, everybody hated them so much that everybody was rooting for not just like the Lakers, but LeBron. Like, do you know how hard that is to get people to do? To be like random NBA fan, even like there are plenty of people obviously that just like love LeBron, right? But there are plenty of people that hate LeBron, like me. And like I was sitting there during the series being like, let's fucking go, man. Go.
Year
like,
20, year 20.
Year 20, like hashtag just a kid from Akron. Like, you know how unbelievably hard that is? So to just make a fun little meme video about them, saying, like, making fun of the fact that he said we fine in the West and got eliminated in the first round, it is completely within bounds. It is completely okay. And it's okay to have a little fun. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. On top of that, like, you know, what would anybody care if this same exact thing happened to, like, forget the Knicks, like the Lakers got shit on for like 4 or 5 years, right? When they sucked before they got LeBron. They sucked. And everybody had fun making fun of them because it was like, finally the Lakers suck. Like, this is great. We get to make fun of them. Where was all this? Like, oh, this is wrong. It's never vocalized. Even if people feel that way, it's never vocalized when it's certain markets, okay? And it's only vocalized when it is certain markets, usually smaller markets. And then you get like the whole like, oh, David Griffin deserves this. Oh man, David Griffin, he deserves all this fortune. And it's like, I'm sorry, but it's horseshit. Like, if you want to say that it shouldn't happen to Memphis, that's fine. But then it shouldn't happen to any team, and we know that it does. Like, us as Knicks fans are acutely aware of this. Like, shit, like, we talked about this when the Nets traded KD and Kyrie. I didn't think they got shit on enough, but they did get shit on. They did get shit on for it, and they should. Like, it didn't work out. That's what happens. You get, it's totally within reason. It's not like we were making fun of something that didn't happen. And in this case, they made fun of something that actually happened. And it's just a stupid joke. Like, get the fuck over yourself. Like, what do you think is going to, like, what is if you want to say that ESPN doesn't produce enough actual analysis and content and all that shit, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, and that's why I don't watch ESPN. Like, I don't, for NBA anyway. The NFL stuff is actually pretty good. They've actually gotten better with the NFL over like the last 4 or 5 years, way better. But their NBA stuff is terrible. And the only guy they have that talks about like actual X's and O's is Legler. And they
put him on the graveyard shift.
Yeah, they're like, all right, yeah, you could be on with SVP at like 2:30 in the morning when nobody's watching. So, other than that, you get like even when they have Zach Lowe on TV, right? He doesn't do any X's and O's shit. They have him on The Jump or whatever the hell that show's
NBA
called now.
Today.
Yeah,
NBA Today.
Yeah, and it's like him and Perk. Shout out Big Perk, #1 Knicks fan. But like they're just out there talking about narrative. They have him talking about like, well, how much pressure is Milwaukee under to win Game 5? It's like probably a lot. Like, it's a fucking elimination game. So yeah, they're probably under some pressure here. But like, when you obviously, if you listen to his podcast, and if you just read the shit he writes, he goes into more detail about like actual analysis of teams. But they don't do that with their TV content. So if your issue with like ESPN is that, I'm here for that conversation. But I'm not here for people to be, up in arms about like a stupid meme video making fun of the Grizzlies for a stupid thing. And like, let's be real, the Grizzlies have courted this nonsense, not just this year, for multiple years. Oh, we don't run from the, what is it? We don't run from the smoke. We
run up the chimney.
Yeah, whatever that means. And people ate that.
Bears.
Yeah. People ate that shit up when they were just a fun, cute little team on the rise. And then you know what happens when you become a favorite? Then there's expectations.
Rise.
Yeah, and then it's not cute anymore if you don't meet the expectations. And guess what? You got eliminated in the first round. You talked a bunch of shit. Like, look, I'll shit on LeBron all the time, but at the end of the day, the guy to me is the second best player ever. So when Dylan Brooks is talking about like, all we got to do is force LeBron to go left. Like,
I don't respect anybody
Yeah,
until
yeah.
he gives me 40.
like, dude, who are you? Like, you've won one fucking playoff series in your life, okay? And then their big claim to fame, like, oh, they've like, remember when they beat the fucking Warriors in the play-in game, and it was like this historic moment. I'm
They
like,
dethroned the
Yeah.
champs.
they lost in 5 games to the fucking Jazz after that. Like, give me a break, okay? Like, if you want to get, they got all this praise, all this lavish over the top. Oh, look at how well Memphis is run. You know, they just know what they're doing over there. This pipeline of young talent, all blah, blah, blah. They got lavish with praise, and nobody had problems. Like, if you want to, it can't just be they get shit. Like, you take issue when negative stuff is maybe a little bit over the top, but positive stuff over the top is fine. That's like, it can't be that. If you want fair and balanced, it has to be actually fair and balanced, like Fox News. But like no, like if you actually want fair and balanced, like then it has to work both ways. It can't just be one, because I think their coverage of that team has been fucking embarrassing for a few years, and the coverage specifically of John Moran, if we want to get into it this year, considering all the shit he got into, he's gotten away with extremely favorable and light coverage. He had that softball fucking dog shit interview with Jalen Rose. You remember that shit? It was like,
Yes.
oh, like, how are your feelings, bro? Like, shut the fuck up. That was, and so I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it about the fucking Grizzlies, and I don't want to hear about fucking the Pelicans or any of these small market teams. When like, oh, the Pelicans, they look at this heroic run they made to the first round exit. Like, they finished 36-46 team on the rise. Shut up. Like, they've
Look
had
at the Nets. The Nets have such a bright future, man. This young team, this young up and coming team.
It's a joke. And then you get teams like forget the Knicks, you know, because we're Knicks fans. So obviously, you know, people will be like, oh, you guys just thinking everybody's against the Knicks. Like, I think Philly gets like pretty hard coverage, which I'm fine with. Like, they've had Embiid obviously for a long ass time. They've had Harden now for a couple of years. They've always had like a lot of, you know, they had Butler. They have had star power roll through this place. They haven't been past second round. I understand why they get treated harshly. They should. Like, that's how it works, you know? Look, Milwaukee, I actually think they're getting very light, like, they're getting off pretty late. Like, I love Giannis.
Nike is running a fucking campaign
that was
for
unreal.
Giannis for being a
no
first
such
round
thing as
exit.
failure.
Yeah, like I love Giannis, but like, and I get what he's trying to say, but like, one, that wasn't the time to say it, and two,
Definitely.
like, maybe figure out a better way to say what you were trying to say. But like, you know, I think he's gotten off pretty late in the aftermath of that too, and I like, so to me, it's like all the coverage. It can't just be that. Oh,
even the Cavs have gotten off super lately after they were like some sort of juggernaut team that gets embarrassed in round one. You don't hear anything about them.
Well, you know,
anything about putting their chips on the table for Donovan, and he just gets
there's
cleaned
a
off the floor.
orange and blue reason for why they're not getting.
There's also a feeling that they were the better team. You know, there's a feeling. No, I mean, it's reality is nobody cares about Cleveland, right? So it's like when these teams are good, it's always like, oh, look, like, why don't we talk about this team more? Look, remember at the start of this year? Oh my God, why are the Knicks on national television to start the season? And like, nobody wants to watch them, blah, blah, blah. And it's like just if that was, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a team. Like, if that was the Pelicans who had expectations coming in the season, nobody would have said anything. Oh, this is so great. How wonderful for smart markets. But it's like they only want the positive side that comes with exposure and never the negative side. Whereas like with the Knicks, because it's a New York market, and I don't care what anybody says, when like the Knicks are the one team in New York that actually everybody cares about, because you have Yankees, Mets, you have Jets, Giants, you have Rangers, Islanders, Devils that all have actual fan bases. Like the Nets don't have an actual fan base. The Knicks actually have a fan base that is the entire city. It's the only team that like everybody in New York actually gives a shit about. So you're always in the news, good or bad. When the Knicks are, people are like, oh, the Knicks are irrelevant. Why does ESPN talk about them? Because you guys love making fun of the Knicks when they suck. That's why. It's very, very easy to figure it out. Like, why are we always talking about the Knicks? Because people pay attention. And because when the Knicks suck, people love to shit on them. And when the Knicks are good, people will find any reason to be like, well, actually, they're not good. Like, so it's people like to talk about these big market teams. So that comes with the exposure. So when Memphis this year has gotten a lot of exposure because they're a popular ass team, because they're a rising team. I think John Morant, I'm pretty sure he's like his, you know, jersey sales and stuff. He's like pretty popular with younger kids and shit. Right. Like that's part of that. That comes with you want exposure. You want all that shit. You want all the positives of that. Well, guess what? There's a downside to it too. And you got to deal with that. So don't fucking cry to me about some stupid ass fucking meme video that went up about don't be mean to Ja. Fuck Ja. Fuck the Memphis Grizzlies and fuck small markets.
Yeah, all of that. One more. We had a question that's a little bit later in the list, but while we're on the Memphis topic, how much money did Dillon Brooks cost himself in free agency with his recent antics? And the follow-up question for this is, what team will Dillon Brooks be playing for on opening night of 2023-2024?
I'll let Sam go because I just ranted for about 8 minutes.
I don't know if he really costed himself that much money because I don't think anyone really took him that serious to begin with. As for what team he's going to be on, wow, man, I have
a pick. I have a pick for this.
I'd assume one of those lower tanking teams that's like trying to add like maybe an enforcer to their team or trying to make themselves have some type of identity. I'd assume one of those lower ranking teams, but I really can't really pick a team specifically because I just don't think anybody in the league will really take him seriously.
As for the money, I don't think he lost himself that much money. Unfortunately, I don't think he lost himself that much money. But I do think a team for him to look out for would be the Dallas Mavericks, who seem to be the only team that are that could be desperate enough to get this guy in the room, and they look like they needed a shooter so bad, and they needed defense, obviously. And I'm not sure. I don't view Dillon Brooks as some sort of like all NBA, all defense type of guy. But there are people who do, and I was listening to like the Hoop Collective podcast with Windhorst,
like Colin
Hempstead. Yeah, Colin among others as well. But I listened to that podcast, and they were talking about him in that way, where they were like, "Oh yeah, this guy when he's locked in, man, he's an all defense second team first." Like I don't know about that, but if he's viewed like that by some people, I'm not surprised if he's viewed by that by others. So I could see him in Dallas. I could see him on the Rockets as well, who do need an adult in the room, but I don't know if he's like the adult that they need. But he will be playing.
If he really wants a contract that bad, if he can just roll his first round tape from last year, or what was it, 2 years ago versus Utah, that first round tape, you could just slide that over the table to his contract negotiations.
Who is his agent? I'm just curious to see if he's with one of those big firms. Let's see.
That, first of all, the Jazz allowing him to average like 26 points per game in a series is insane, by the way.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Shuen, do you have a prediction for what team he'll be suiting up for in the beginning of next season?
I don't feel. I mean, I don't really. It's hard to know. I do think he cost himself money, though. I don't agree with that. I think he cost himself quite a bit of money. His antics, like the fact that people think this shit doesn't matter, but it's like LeBron has been in God knows how many playoff games, God knows how many first round series, probably like 17 in a row at this point in his career or something like that. The idea, like, he's not going to be up for, it doesn't matter who they're playing. He's not going to be up for a first round series the way he's going to be up for like a conference finals or a finals series. Why would you say anything? And the fact that he couldn't control, and this has been an issue, like he said so much stupid shit all year, can't control himself. I think teams are going to look at that and be like, well, we can't even fucking trust this guy. And like you look at the Knicks, right? They basically don't say anything. They don't say, all they do when they get asked questions about their opponent, it's just like, yeah, they're a great team. They got great players. We got to be ready. We got to, take care of our own business and be
except
prepared.
if you're the Cavs.
Everybody in the NBA is very good.
Right. It's just that's all it is. And it's like, I'm not saying not every team needs to be like that. Not every player needs to be like that. And there's a time and place to run your mouth or whatever. Dillon Brooks running his mouth about LeBron, it's not one of those times. And I think that shit like that costs him, on top of the fact that he's a terrible shooter. He's just an inefficient scorer. And if you watch that series, the Lakers basically, and not just they successfully baited him into taking shots because they were like, they would kind of guard him, but not really. And it's like, he has that, he's got that mindset of just like, I'm going to, I got to take this, like, I'm going to prove these guys wrong, whatever. And I get that. But at the same time, like, he's just not a good shooter. So when you force him to do these things, that's a win for you. And it's like, I still think he's got a lot of value as a regular season player. And I do feel like maybe if you could play him a little bit more in like smaller lineups, maybe there's more offensive juice there. But like, he's just not a particularly good offensive player. And the headache you have to deal with him, his personality and stuff off the floor, I think is tough. So nice. But I just
All right.
I don't know. I would guess that he gets around whatever, like maybe MLE money, shorter than maybe less than MLE, something like that. And I am fine with that. Like, I think that that's probably right around what he's worth. So that seems about right. Who would sign him? I don't know. Maybe like the Raptors or something, because he is Canadian, so I could see him going there.
Raptors fans hate him.
Yeah, and maybe I could see that. And I don't know.
Masai would be brilliant enough to take a flyer on him.
A team that maybe just doesn't have a lot of options. Like, I don't know if the Bucks have.
That's why I said Dallas. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what else they can do. So.
Maybe Dallas or a team like Milwaukee. If they have access to their full mid level, maybe they would be willing to take him on and just trust that, like, hey, look, you're playing with Giannis now. Shut up. Like, maybe that's an option. So, yeah.
Hey, I would like to shift the. Not only me would like to shift the discussion back to some Knicks stuff. You have somebody who's in the chat right now who's looking for some RJ Barrett discussion from you guys.
Good. He can listen to any of the podcasts I've done over the last 2 weeks, and he can see. I'm not apologizing for RJ Barrett having a bad regular season and me saying he had a bad regular season. And the fact that he played better in these last playoff games is exactly why I said he had a bad regular season, because he's fully capable of playing better than he fucking did in the regular season. He's fully capable of playing good defense, which we are now seeing in the playoffs. So if you want to fucking praise him to the heavens for these last 3 games, which is completely fine with me, and he deserves all the praise that he's getting, that's cool. But at the same time, how did you watch him in the regular season and tell yourself that he was playing good? Get the fuck out of here. You want an apology? Why don't you apologize for Quentin Grimes slander? Why don't you apologize for Emmanuel Quickley slander? Why don't you apologize for Leon Rose slander? Why don't you apologize for all
for
that
Cam Reddish
shit?
praise?
And yeah, you know what? I don't want you to apologize for that. I don't give a shit if you do. So do what you want.
Okay. We have a good question from our guy, Zebo.
Hold on. You want me? No, I wasn't wrong. Right. RJ Barrett had a bad regular season. I'm sorry. You want to fucking deny that? That's your prerogative, not mine. I'm not going to pretend that he had a good regular season. He's having a great playoffs, and I'm very, very happy about that. I'm thrilled about that. I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for the Knicks, and I'm thrilled for all the people that believed in RJ Barrett the entire way, because you know what? The best part about being a fan is that, exactly, is when you prove your haters wrong. You can sit around and be like, look at my guy. Look at my guy. If you want to go around to everybody asking for apologies, that's cool. You're not going to get one here, pal.
Yeah. Okay. Our next question. This one's a good one. Outside of Jimmy Butler, which Heat player poses the largest matchup issue, and which one are you most worried about besides Jimmy? I think for me, this one has to be Bam Adebayo. And he's been somebody like in this Bucks series, he was kind of just knocking down like every mid range again, which is very scary. And he's one of those guys I don't want to play full drop coverage against. And we kind of camped and dropped. We didn't really camp and drop as much as we did in the regular season against Cleveland. We played that like short drop that was really nice. And if we're gonna have to stick through that, but I do think Bam poses some serious problems for us.
With Bam, the Heat tried an interesting wrinkle at the end of that Bucks game. That last game 5, they started letting him bring the ball up the court. So I'm just, interested in how that looks versus us. I mean, other than that, the only thing I'd really be worried about with the Heat is just like one of their shooters getting hot, whether it be Strus or Robinson, and more likely Strus, because like there were a couple games, I think even one of those play-in games where he was absolutely just lighting it up. I mean, I think it was the Bulls game.
There were games in the regular season against us as well where he was just torching us. So
yeah, so like that's the only thing. I know the Knicks are probably going to sell out more to stop Jimmy Butler than the Bucks did by sending more doubles. So if we can't get back out to shooters as quickly, then that will pose a very interesting and troubling problem.
Shuin, what are you thinking besides Jimmy? Who's scaring you the most?
Probably. Honestly, I don't even want to say Bam, because I think Bam is just going to do whatever he does. I would be a little bit more scared of just like the random shooters. Like Strus got hot in the last series. Duncan Robinson, Love.
They all got hot in that last
Yeah,
series. Like,
yeah,
it was unbelievable.
which I don't think is sustainable,
It
and
can't be.
especially now that like RJ is playing the defense he is. We don't have like the only weak link in the perimeter defense now is Brunson. So I kind of feel pretty good about that. I don't know. Like I feel pretty good about the entire defensive matchup for us because one guy that actually gave us trouble during the regular season for them was Hero. He's out. I think that actually works in our favor because what RJ's good at defensively when he's locked in, which he has been, is handling guys like Donovan Mitchell specifically that are, they're explosive, but I personally don't feel like Mitchell is a super shifty lateral guy. He's explosive when he gets north-south, but he's not creating a ton of space laterally, I don't think. Hero's really good coming off screens. He's good at manipulating off of screens in a way that is very hard to defend. And he comes off those screens really, really tight before he raises up. That's something that RJ has trouble defending usually. Even in the last series when he had moments with like Garland where he struggled with that a little bit. They don't have any other shooters that can threaten you in that way. So that's good. But I would have been worried about Hero, not just with RJ, but with any of them. Like that's just a weird matchup, and it would have required them to probably play quickly more, or put Grimes on him, which takes him off of a Butler, which it requires. And then if you play quickly more, that means you're taking RJ out, which is one of the offensive matchups you're probably trying to hunt in this one. So it would have been a little bit. It would have
forced the Knicks to go small.
Yeah, it would have been a different thing, and I'm not saying like that would have changed the whole series, but it would have changed something. But like, without him, I'm not that worried about the defensive side of it. I really just think like, just don't let Jimmy go off for like 50 plus while not doing anything to change how you're covering him, and you should be okay. Like, I know he had a great game 5 too, the one they closed out Milwaukee in.
They barely doubled him.
Yeah, but like even in that, they actually did start throwing different coverages at him. But even then, like they only won because Giannis shot terribly from the free throw line. And on top of that, their
coach had a brain fart.
Yeah, their coach had a brain fart, which apparently might be understandable considering the news we got yesterday, which I don't even know why you're coaching at that point. It's crazy to me. But and then like they just collectively, the players in the team had mental brain farts too. So there was just a lot of shit going on, and that still took so many things for them to get that win. So yeah, I don't know. I would feel, I feel pretty good about defensively, like what our matchups and everything. And again, like the fact that RJ is playing well on defense now means that you can throw him on Jimmy, and like not saying like none of these guys should just defend Jimmy the entire time, right? It can be RJ at times, it can be Grimes at times, it can be Hart. Even if Hart's the primary guy you want on him, you can throw different looks at him. Obviously, you're going to throw different coverages at him. So I feel pretty good about this matchup. I think the Knicks showed that they have really good game plan discipline in the first round. And yeah, I'm not that concerned about who aside from Jimmy. I'm pretty much just concerned about Jimmy.
Yeah, another thing I want to get back into, they're just unreal shooting. And I have some numbers from the Alex Hoops video that he put out about Jimmy Butler. And this is another great channel. It has some great Knicks content if you're interested. But Miami shot 49% from mid-range against Milwaukee, and then 45% from three as a team, which is just unbelievable. And then Duncan Robinson alone shot 76% from three against them, which is also unfucking believable. And then also just as a team, since December 4th, you know, like our famous holiday, December 4th, Miami was the 25th offensive ranked team in the league. They're 25th in offensive rating. And then in the playoffs, they're suddenly number 1 in offensive rating. So you have to assume that none of that is, I mean, some of that I'm sure is sustainable. Most of it cannot be sustainable, and it can't be sustainable to the same level. So I'm not too worried about that stuff. Another good question from Chris Persianen, our boy, who asks, how will the Knicks centers fare against Miami? And I know, Schwinn, you had a message in our Discord today saying this will be a Hartenstein series, and then you didn't really elaborate on it. So I'd like to know where that was coming
from. So I'm just going to pull up one of these fucking things here. At some point, I'm going to pull something up. It is video. All right, here we go. This isn't just Hartenstein, but I'm going to share this since I discovered how to do this today. Let's go technology. It's great. I am getting it together. But yeah, I think like I talked about this earlier, IQ, Grimes, Hartenstein, those guys to me, and Obi too. They're really key in this series in terms of attacking Miami's pressure defenses and capitalizing on overloads that you can unlock. So 1 second here. Here we go. Okay, here we are. It's somewhere. I promise you. All right. Here we are. Let's do this. Adding
Schwinn versus technology.
I know. Here we are. Okay.
He was so confident a little. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Ooh.
Right. So we're gonna play this. We are going to play this. There we are. All right. You can just see like every time Miami sends traps, it's various ways to look at this. But look at the lineup here, right? You've got Hartenstein, IQ, all of these, right? You got Hart and IQ. Like these guys are really, really key in unlocking all of this stuff. And you see it throughout this game and throughout all the Miami games. This possession is awesome. They know that Miami, if you go back here, like they were running this constantly at the end of the first half of this game. Quickly's really, really good when teams are basically telegraphing their coverages. And Miami, like when they have Hero and Robinson, we don't have Hero, but they will do this when Robinson's in the game. They'll do this when Love is in the game. They'll have these guys, they're poor defenders. They'll have them show out higher, play more of an aggressive trapping thing. And I have some other tweets here I might pull up later. One video that Benji did, Ben Ritholtz, NBA, who does a lot of good stuff for Knicks Film School. He posted a thread yesterday on their account showing this stuff too. But like when they have these weaker defenders on, they'll show higher. And Brunson showed that obviously he can attack this when he gets to that mindset last series. But they did this constantly at the end of the first half and throughout the end of the game in the fourth quarter with Quickly. And it would be either Hart or Hartenstein or even RJ as screeners. But if you just watch, as soon as they trap, look at that. That opens up right there. Mm-hmm. And he hits him. Bam. Look at the options he has here. He's got Brunson open from 3. If Bam doesn't come down, Bam has to come down here because if he doesn't, this is an easy lob to Mitch, which we saw against Cleveland. And if not, right there. That's an open corner 3 for RJ. Obviously, he hasn't shot the 3 that well this year. I feel like he's close to getting it together on that. Just in that specific thing, he's gotten everything else together. So just that 3 ball. This is another one. Look at this. Look at the time left here. They've got 4.5 seconds left. They're still showing out this high because they just don't want to leave either of these guys, Robinson or Hero, on an island with him. Look at this. Look at Hart right here. He already knows. This pass is going to be open. And even if it's not, like he could have made this pass right here
to RJ,
or if he had been able to,
he could have hit Mitch there too.
Mitch.
He can just drive it too if he wants. Like, but there's so many options here. All right, that's just the first half. Now you go to the second half, which we will come to now. Right here. So this is why I said Hartenstein. Watch Hartenstein here.
Just the screen.
The way he rolls, and he keeps that pocket open. Keeps the pocket open, and then he sets the screen. Look at that. This is like
wide open.
Really, really, really smart stuff. He knows what the rotation is for Zeller.
Mm-hmm.
Bang. Open corner 3. And even if Martin makes this rotation faster, look, RJ's wide open.
RJ's wide open. Yeah.
Wide open. And I promise you Quickly would have been wide open too if somebody rotated out to him. So you put them in all these situations. All right. And then here's another one. Okay. RJ, roll. This is actually just terrible defense, by the way, more so than any great execution on the Knicks part. I have no idea I don't know what Oladipo's doing. Shout out to Oladipo, who's done for the year. I'm not sure what RJ was doing here. Like he's going to post up Zeller, but okay, it's fine. It's a weird thing. I'm not sure why Quickly drifted to the corner either like this and picked up his dribble. But okay. But like this is the thing.
That pass is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a great pass, but watch Hartenstein. Just watch him the entire way. He finds the space. He's like a hero. He has no idea where he is.
Yeah.
Because he went all the way around him. Yeah.
Went all the way around. Hartenstein is going to be key on this play too. Watch him. This is awesome. No, like Mitch cannot make this play. And honestly, Randall can't make this play. I think RJ can make this play, and I think Obi can make this play. Those are the only two guys that can make that play. That's a wide open layup. Like they have no shot on this play. As soon as they trap quickly and they let Hart roll, he can't get the pass to him, but he knows. And this is where Brunson actually struggles a bit. And RJ is good at this because he can hit the pass over the top. Like he's tall enough that he can just drop it over sometimes. Brunson can't make this pass because the only way he can make it is if he tries to put it between the defenders right here, right? That's the only way he can do it. And that's very susceptible to getting stolen. He actually got one stolen on him late in the fourth quarter in the Cavs game, trying to make this type of pass. He also hit Hart on one that led to a Mitch lob. So that's the give and take. It's kind of a home run pass. If you hit that, that's as easy as it gets. But it's a hard pass because there's two defenders kind of trying to block off the passing lane. But like that's a tough pass for Brunson. It's tough pass quickly. Quickly is better though at recognizing that it is a hard pass for him, and so he can just feed Hartenstein and trust Hartenstein to make that pass. That's just great offense. And then you're going to get a little bit more here. Okay, so quickly comes over. They're running a side pick and roll action here, right? He drives baseline. They trap to the ball. Bang, bang. That's just, and it's like, this is Grimes at his absolute best. I can't believe Hartenstein missed that. I'm not sure how many, like, I don't actually think anybody else on the team can make the pass that Grimes makes here. But look at this. They draw true to the ball, right? Quickly, immediately draws to the ball from Butler, right? And Vincent's already he's trying to guard too. So he's more shading to the corner. Quickly doesn't make that pass. And he probably is smart not to make it because I think Butler probably tips it. So he goes right, and look at that. Like if you actually see, he fakes the pass to the corner, right? He fakes it, and then he drops it off to Grimes. Vincent's already in rotation. Grimes, easy drive pass. Caleb Martin, Dunzo. I don't know. Like RJ can make this pass. I don't know if he does. He probably tries to throw a lob. That would work for Mitch. I'm not sure it works for Hartenstein. This is just a ridiculous pass. I really don't think anybody else in the team can make that pass the way that Grimes does there. And this is just, they use Grimes as the roll man here. They have him like basically he's not even ghost screening. He's just kind of like, he did set a ghost screen earlier. I don't have the full clip. And then he drops off because they were trapping quick. You know, he brings, I think is that Hero? Yeah, he brings Hero into the action. So Butler has to come over here and he leaves. I don't know. I actually don't know. I have any idea what Butler's doing here. I think he thought quickly was going to throw it to Hart.
Pass it to Hart, so he's going to try to jump the passing lane.
He's trying to do a pick six. But yeah, he's trying to throw it to Hart, or he thinks he is. That leaves Grimes wide open. Honestly, that's awful defense by Butler. Give and take, I guess, right? Taking home run swings. But that's Grimes wide open here. Bang. I mean, he can probably...
He missed that pass to Hartenstein, too, as well.
He probably can make that. If he catches that, you know, I don't really want to say this is necessarily a bad delivery, but he's got to know to roll. He's got to know to spin that way. He actually made a similar pass to Hartenstein in the first game, if you remember, late in that game to hit him on the roll. I think Benji has that in his thread. But yeah, he hits... RJ should probably make this
swing it, but
probably
he hits three. So,
but yeah, he makes a three, so I don't mind it. But I don't even mind him taking that shot because it is a good corner three in rhythm. Like that's fine, and he obviously cashes that. We know
that was basically the dagger.
Yeah, that was the dagger. But he's got a penchant for these kind of like dagger threes. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that stuff because I think those guys and Hartenstein is going to be huge in this series. Mitch can't make those passes. And I would venture to guess, I'll look at Mitch's numbers against Hartenstein. I'll try to pull those up. But I would have meant, or not against Hartenstein, but Mitchell's numbers against the Heat. I would venture to guess his plus minus in those games was not good. I know for a fact they were really bad in the game in Miami that we won on that Randall buzzer beater. And it's not because he's a bad his defense isn't the issue at all. It's that offensively you can't use him as a screener, and the Knicks were using him as a screener. So the plus side for us is Tibbs has shown, he has shown a more adaptability throughout the playoffs of using guys as screeners. He used RJ almost exclusively as a screener in the fourth quarter for Brunson in Game 5, which the Knicks didn't make shots, but they actually did get mismatches and quality shots out of it. RJ actually hit a corner three. That might have been in the third quarter, not the fourth, but he did it a corner three. It wasn't the third because only quickly made one shot and Mitchell Robinson made three shots. Those only made field goals in the fourth quarter. But they got mismatches they wanted out of that. So like we know that he's willing to use these guys now as screeners and not just the centers. So that's a big deal. That means that's why Mitch was still very, very playable late in the series when the Cavs would try and trap. And that was actually an issue in game 5 was how often they had Mitch set the screen or Hartenstein set the screen. I mean, Hartenstein's better at it, as I pointed out, but you want to challenge different defenders to come to come into the action, right? Like if you set the screen with a center, so let's say you set it with Hartenstein or Randall, or it depends on who Bam's guarding. If Bam's guarding Randall, then I don't want Randall setting screens. I don't want Bam in the fucking action. Like putting Bam in the action is the worst thing you can do because that brings their best defender into the action. Why do you want to do that? And the Knicks had issues, again, this is in Benji's thread, where like they were putting Bam in the action. They didn't get good offense out of that. So, there was like one where Brunson got a switch on him and he tried to ISO on Bam. And I'm like, look, I like making fun of Andrees as much as the next guy, but that's not the thing to do against him. Like that is not how you take advantage of him at all. So the Knicks have to be smart about that. And if they are smart about it, there's always going to be there's always going to be weak defenders in the lineups that Miami puts out, because the issue that they have is if they want to get shooting on the floor, that means they got to put bad defenders on the floor. If they want to get good defenders on the floor, that means you're taking offense off the floor. It's a really hard thing for them to manage. Spoelstra is honestly like as good as anybody possibly could be at doing it. He is honest. I think he is probably the best coach in the NBA. So he might be able to walk that tightrope. But if the Knicks are smart and if Tibbs is as flexible as we saw in the Cavs series, and if Brunson and RJ, those two specifically, because I anticipate that he's going to use them as the primary creators throughout the series. If those two don't try to make home run passes, trust their teammates, and trust, the open man, they should be okay. They should be able to get good shots against this team. Don't try to do too much is kind of the key against a pressure defense.
Yeah, that was well said. We had a couple questions in chat that we missed. We kind of glazed over from the beginning, so I want to go back to them. One of them was somebody, let me find it. Do you think Mitchell Robinson will keep up his insane rebounding again? That was one I just saw it, but I can't find it again. There it is. Yeah.
I'll let Sam go because I just talked for a long time.
I mean, I think I don't know, because like Bam has these weird games where like you'll look at his stat line at the end of the game and he had like 6 rebounds or whatever it was. But like I think that just his presence alone will help the Knicks as a whole maybe keep up their domination on the offensive glass. Maybe because like we saw in the Cavs series, I mentioned this earlier, they had to start gang rebounding over him, where they threw like 3-4 bodies at him, and that just leaves other guys like Josh Hart. We saw Obi Toppin take advantage of these opportunities as well throughout the series, where he was able to just get like tip-ins or like just like loose balls because like guys were too focused on Mitchell Robinson. So that might be the advantage, that like Mitch's presence might just hold up there. But also I just think that Mitch is just like, he's just bigger than everybody that Miami has out there. Like, I mean, they can throw Zeller out there on him like to match the size, but like I still think Mitch will get his fair share of offensive rebounds because I think he's just locked in right now. This has been the most locked in we've ever seen of Mitch, and I don't really see what's really going to throw him off of that so far. So
yeah, on paper this looks like a much easier matchup for Mitch as well. And if it's going to be like Bam and Kevin Love and Cody Zeller, those are just not as good as Allen and Mobley. And so I think the offensive rebound I'm not too worried about. Defensive rebounding, though, I know, like, for the same reason Shrim was just talking about, there might be reasons where he's kind of, like, might be offensive rebounds for reasons. There might be offensive reasons for why Mitch isn't on the floor. So I'm not sure if his defensive rebounding will be the same, but Hartenstein, for the same reasons, will be very good defensive rebounding-wise. I want to get to this one from Hawkeye 420. How do we combat their shooting? It seems like they got that variance boost versus Milwaukee. Kind of worried about that more than us versus their zone. One thing that they had going for them against Milwaukee is that they had like Joe Ingles trying to fight over screens and whoever like their other wing defenders are. they're just not Quinn and
Wes
Grimes. They're
Matthews.
not Josh Hart. Yeah, like these guys are cooked. Like these guys aren't the same perimeter defenders that we have. So I'd like to see how we hold up first before we start to go into the variance argument. But that was a big thing that had going against Milwaukee. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think the big thing is it's honestly just your off-ball guys need to be able to run them off the line. That's the biggest thing because they don't have guys that you trust to make plays off the bounce when you run them off the line. The one guy is probably like Gabe Vincent, and he's Gabe Vincent. Like he's fine. I think he's a pretty solid player, but if that's your best guy to attack closeouts, that's not great.
I would love to see them try and get Vincent switched on to RJ a lot, and same with Lowry and all their other smaller guards, and even like Robinson who just can't defend. I would love to see like Brunson and all these guys set screens for RJ and then let RJ get switched onto them because you've seen RJ going to the rim now. It's a problem. So if you can get matched up with Vincent and like Lowry even and Robinson and Martin is really not that scary to me. So I think that's a good way to combat their shooting as well.
Yeah, I that's the big one because I truly believe like if you can just keep making them make the extra pass and drive and put the ball on the deck, aside like those guys are not really capable to do that. So that would be the big one, and that is like why I think guys like we like Randall and Obi, those guys really need to be locked in. And I would have thrown RJ in there before the playoffs, but he's been locked in. So I think he'll be fine. And I think as long as, Hart will be locked in, Quickly will be locked in, RJ will be locked in, Grimes will be locked in. I trust those guys. I don't think Obi won't be locked in, but Obi has a tendency to just like fall asleep and then have to recover. And if you can just run these guys off the line and not just give up easy straight line drives to the rim on those closeouts, you'll be okay. And that's where having obviously Mitch and Hartenstein helps because you always have those backstops there to challenge guys when they come inside. So, I think as long as they do that, they'll be fine. There's really nothing to, obviously you're going to give up some threes. It's just the nature of one, the NBA, and two of Miami, how they play and how well drilled they are. But like, it's more about forcing them to really work for those opportunities, make them make plays, make them put the ball on the deck. And if you can do that, I think you're okay.
Yeah, this next one comes from Martin B in our YouTube chat, and he says, "Do you guys think Tibbs trusts Obi again if Randall is hurt or plays bad at some point, or will he pivot to RJ or Josh Hart at the 4 because of Jimmy Butler?" I think he trusts Obi as much as he's ever trusted Obi right now, and we saw that in the fourth quarter. It was the first time he's ever benched Randall to go to Obi. I don't think it'll come to that extreme again. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that extreme again. But the fact that he showed that already, it should answer your question right there. Do you think Tibbs trusts Obi? He's like, I think he does trust Obi. Yeah. But if we need that matchup, it's good that we have that in our back pocket to go to Hart at the 4, go to RJ at the 4. There are just other teams that don't have that or just aren't willing to go to that. So I think you'll probably see a little bit of both if we have to. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that fourth quarter definitely showed us like Tibbs is willing to do whatever, and he'll do it. Like he'll do whatever it takes to win these games. And if he noticed that something is working that he probably previously wouldn't have done before, he is definitely more willing to do it. The fact that he benched Randall in the fourth was a shock to everyone. And I think I just let everybody know that all right, Tibbs is serious about winning.
I'm serious. He's locked in. He's locked in.
Yeah, like he's as serious as he's ever been about winning. And it, like even if it hurts the egos of his best player, then like so be it. But like he just wants to win. And I think he'll do whatever. I mean, that quote the other day about him versus Jimmy Butler. I mean, that tells you like he's really locked in. Like he's gonna throw whatever it takes to stop Jimmy Butler. Like so I think he'll do whatever, whether it's pivoting to RJ or Hart at the 4, whether it's trusting Obi, like whether it's benching Randall, whatever it needs to be done. I think Tibbs will do it in the series.
Yeah. We can go to our next one from AJ in chat, who asks, is Miami getting a perception bubble right now? Their run is built on all extreme outlier conditions. Yeah, I do believe they are getting a crazy perception bubble right now. And I think that whole series with with Milwaukee says more about the Bucks than it does Miami. I don't think they played they shot like the fucking lights out, but I don't think they played some unreal brand of basketball that like we hadn't seen from them before. It was kind of the same. It was like their MO, but they were just making their shots. Like in the regular season, like their shooters were just abysmal, and like they finally went up to some certain insane level. But yeah, all that contributes to some sort of crazy perception bubble they're getting right now. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Sam?
Sure.
All right. I think that's accurate. They're good. Jimmy's amazing. Spoelstra's amazing. Bam, Idris is okay. Like they're really good. They're really disciplined. They're not going to beat themselves, so you got to beat them. They're very annoying because they shoot free throws really well. They turn you over. They don't turn the ball over themselves very much. So like they win everything on the margins. They were a pretty decent defensive rebounding team this year. They finished 4th for the season, but they they like if you don't beat yourself, you can that's really the key. Like their entire thing is predicated on these margins. And if you don't turn the ball over, you have a great chance. If you don't just send them to the line a bunch, and honestly, aside from Jimmy, they don't get to the line very much, you'll be okay. The two biggest things, right, that has haunted the Knicks all year, like one of their Achilles heel, as we know, free throw shooting. Like you cannot just leave points on the table. You can't do it. And I know that like there's really nothing to do, really. Like you just have to hope they make a higher clip than they have at times. That's one. And then, like as long as you don't get destroyed in the glass, which I don't anticipate happening, I think you're okay. It's worth mentioning this. I looked this up. So for the season, Miami finished 4th in defensive rebound percentage at 73.3. After the All-Star break, though, okay, so if you just look at the post All-Star break segment of the season, they were 16th in the NBA in defensive rebound percentage at 72.6. And then for the playoffs so far, anyway,
they're 5th at 73%.
Right. So they've actually hovered around the same percentage all year. It just seems like teams got better at defensive rebounding as the season went on, which is like the league in general got better at defensive rebounding as the season went on. They actually had a better defensive rebound percentage in the first round than we did against Cleveland. But offensive rebounds, like they're not a good offensive rebound percentage team. And they just have not been all season. For the regular season, they were 20th at 26.6. That was just post All-Star. For the full season, so that I'm sure Love gave them a little boost there, just without even knowing off the top of my head. Actually, no, they didn't even get a boost. They actually came down for the whole season. They were 27.4, and then in the first round, which is against the Bucks, they were 15th of all playoff teams, 21.3. The Knicks take care of the defensive glass. They should be okay. That should really be okay because I don't think they'll shoot the way they shot in that Milwaukee series. And I also think the Knicks will do a better job of mixing up coverages on Jimmy and at least giving him stuff to think about at times instead of just sticking with this ridiculous drop coverage for 4.5 games in a row.
Yeah. This was from Jordan Bub. Do you think the Heat will overreact to RJ drives and break down their defense, leading to Brunson getting an easier matchup? I think that they would prefer to have some 2-pointers from RJ than they would from the 3-pointers from Brunson. But there is definitely a case where RJ breaks down the defense to kick out to other shooters, not just Brunson. So yeah, I think that is something to take into account. What do you guys think?
I mean, we saw from like Schwinn's clips there that they are like super aggressive with like the hard hedging and the trapping at the top. So it's a matter of like, where is RJ on those plays? Like, is RJ the one attacking off the closeouts? Is he the one initiating in those plays? So like, if he's initiating, and I feel like if they're overreacting to his drives, I think that's a perfect opportunity to use him to initiate more, and then it leads to Brunson getting easier matchups. But I think this would be a huge series for guys just like Grimes, shooters attacking off those closeouts, because I think he makes those right passes off those closeouts. RJ, we've seen lately that he has been making those passes. So if he continues to do that, then yeah. But I mean, the Heat, they're definitely going to overreact, I think, in general to anything that we do, because I think they are a team that just respects us a lot more. If you just listen to the clips from Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler, like, they are totally different from what we heard from the Cavs guys. So they'll definitely take our matchups much more seriously. So it could be a thing that does happen. But I think they'll do everything in their power to stop Brunson first before worrying about RJ.
Schwinn, you want to go to more questions, or did you have something you want to throw up on the screen?
No, I mean, I just wanted to, like, these are the type of plays. Okay, this is just one play, but
No, you're not showing that. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, this is just one play. This is from the Cleveland series, but like, these opportunities should be there for RJ in this series too. And look at this, he drives,
and there's three.
There's three right there, and Miami is going to be crashing down here. We saw that in the clips that I showed previously.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have guys open on the weak side. If RJ can find them, we should be okay. Now, obviously, we need more than Josh Hart to shoot well from three in the series. That would be nice.
Grimes.
Yeah, all those guys need to shoot better, but like, you have to trust that they will, because they have all year. So I think if the Knicks hit their threes and Miami doesn't shoot like fucking, KD Warriors level from three, we should be okay.
Yeah, I was actually just listening to like the Pod Strickland episode with Prez that you guys just put out a couple of days ago, right before we started the show. And one quote from Prez, he was like, "Oh, this is the first time in RJ's career where he's figured out how to leverage his drives into assists, which is like the most huge thing ever for him." And you just showed a great example of it right there. And I think those opportunities are going to be there for him in next series. So that is great. We did have one late submission question in our Discord from Disingenuous Editor, who asked, this is a little bit of a long one. We all commended Tibbs' coaching adjustments in the playoffs so far, but what counters can Spo come up with given the limited roster for the Heat? Can he just bank on guys like Love, Robinson, and Strus taking and making a lot of threes, or is there something else he can pull out to show us? That's an interesting one. I don't think that, I mean, if you want to talk about who has like a deeper bag of tricks to show in this series, it's definitely going to be the Knicks, and they're the one who have so much more depth. But they also just have a team that's built to give you different looks in the playoffs. I don't know if about Miami could say the same, but they do have like the coach who has the more creative adjustments in his bag. So there's arguments for both. I don't know. What do you guys think?
The question was about Spo, and I mean, yeah, like you said, the Knicks do have more players that they can do more things with. I do think Spo will try everything he can. He's also limited with his players. It's funny, the Knicks going into 2 series back to back. The Cavs, they're limited because they're very top heavy. The Heat, they're very limited because they're banged up. But yeah, I mean, Spo is gonna do whatever it takes. He's gonna sell out to win. So like, he's gonna do whatever it takes, throwing different coverages at Brunson, throwing different coverages at Julius, at RJ. Offensively, they're very limited in what they can do. I mean, they can try that wrinkle that they tried at the end of the Bucks game with Bam bringing up the ball, and they'll see how the Knicks
they had Bam
respond to
bringing
that.
up the ball like most of that series, which is interesting.
Yeah, and they did it a whole bunch in that fourth quarter versus the Bucks. I think it was like 6 times he brought up the court.
Who was it guarding them for Milwaukee in those sets? Was it Giannis or was it Brook?
I think it was, I want to say it was Giannis.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to put Julius on Bam, I'm not too worried about that. Like, he's been able to show that he can move his puppies on the corner. On the perimeter. So, I don't think, like, him bringing the ball up is going to, like, scare us out of anything like.
I can't hear Zach. So.
He just muted himself. There he is. He's back.
No, Schwinn muted me. It said the host muted your mic.
I can't hear him, so I'm going to remove him and then just come back, Zach. Let's see.
What's up?
Try leaving and then coming back. What was the question, though? What were we talking about? My bad.
Oh, I think the question was along the lines of, I wish I had the questions in front of me, but it was along the lines of like which coach will like, I guess, have a deeper bag of tricks, something along those lines. Zach's back.
Yeah.
What's up? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Let's go. All right.
Sam,
were you able to hear me when Schwinn wasn't here?
Yes, I was able to hear you.
Okay, cool.
Schwinn was asking what the question was.
The question was, we've all commended Tibbs' coaching adjustments in the playoffs so far, But what counters can Spo come up with given the limited roster for Miami? Can they just bank on guys like Love, Robinson, and Strus to take and make a lot of threes, or is there some other schematic difference they can go to in case they're down like 2-0 in the series?
I mean, look, it's Spo. He's going to figure something out. But
Yeah,
we saw a lot of the things that they've done in the Milwaukee series. It's not stuff they haven't done before. Like they used Bam effectively as the point guard throughout the end
so
of Game 5.
just exactly what Sam and I were talking about while you were out of here.
Yeah, they did that. I mean, they did that back in 2020 in the bubble in the Eastern Conference Finals to close out the Celtics in that series. So that's something they've done before. They'll probably, they can do some 5-out stuff with Love at the 5, which like I would welcome that if they want.
I would love to see Kevin Love play the 5 in this series.
Well, if you're going to take out your second best player to try that out, cool.
Sure.
So be it. I'm fine with that. I would imagine. I mean, defensively, he's going to throw everything out there. That's not even an adjustment. That's just what he does. They're going to do zones. They're going to run. They'll blitz the ball handler. They will run drop at times. They will do all kinds of things just to
Spo will sell out.
Yeah, he'll sell out. They'll probably do things where they don't help off the weak side. They'll probably do ones where they help off the weak side. They'll probably do again, they're just going to throw everything out there. You're going to have to think through it. And that's why I think it's key. Like the three guys, RJ, Quick, and Brunson, RJ and Brunson primarily, but quickly also, those guys are going to have to make the right reads at the point of attack and really get the offense in a rhythm. So those are the keys to me, for me, like for us, but for them, it's probably like, they probably, like we talked about getting switches, right? Knicks want a mismatch hunt. I'm sure that Miami will do some pre-switching to try and avoid that. So that will be one. They'll do all kinds of things. At the end of the day, like if the Knicks handle their shit, they should be fine. They should win this series. They have a better roster. They have more talent.
Home court advantage.
Yeah, they have home court advantage. They have better depth. It's on them to just execute. And you would hope that, honestly, I think it says a lot about the team that they closed out that Game 5 in Cleveland the way they did. They're playing with full confidence right now. That's huge. So I think
a level of poise too. I think it showed most when they were at home. Because, like, remember 2 years ago, those guys, they kind of sounded like they were a little bit rattled by that home crowd at MSG. So the fact that
they were ready for it this time. They were like,
they were ready for it. They played through it. They dominated in it. They like welcomed it. And I think we'll see in Game 1 a similar level as the energy levels rise, as the Knicks continue to play well in these playoffs. But yeah.
One interesting one we have from Demetrius. Is this the Jew at the 5 series? This is something interesting. I think if they go to Bam at the 5 and then put a bunch of guards and wings next to him, that's definitely something I would like to experiment with. Because if they're going to 5-out us, might as well 5-out them back. But that kind of all relies on if Randall can still rebound, if we can all gang rebound still. Because we're going to lose Mitch, that's huge. Or lose Hardenstein, that's huge. So I don't know what you guys think. And also, that wasn't something we went to against Cleveland, but it's not something that would have given us that big of an advantage anyway.
There is no Jew at the 5 series unless you're desperate and you need to get off. Like, you desperately need offense. It's just not a thing. His defense is not locked in enough defensively. When he gets put in pick and roll situations, if he doesn't blitz, if he plays drop, you're cooked. It's over. Like, you're not going to get a stop. If he blitzes, like, the Knicks have options there and they could do that, but that's not a full-time strategy. That's something that you throw in as a curveball for a few possessions to throw a team off balance. So, like, is this like, I don't think there is a series that exists with Jew at the 5 for like a quarter or something. Like, it's something you go to in the last, not even the last, but like a couple of minutes here or there. We know Tibbs has gone to it out of desperation very, very late in games at times, but like, that's about it. There's really not another time you do that. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, no, it's not the Jew at the 5 series, unfortunately.
This was a good one. As Miami struggles against speed and quick guards. Is this a series to lean into transition and Obi time? I think yes. And I also think against Cleveland, that was like one of their main focuses. It looked like they were trying to get a fast break out of made free throws, it looked like. And that's like been a focus for the Knicks, like the entire second half of the season has been a focus for them against Cleveland, and it'll going to be a focus for them against Miami as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when the bench gets in the game, you see like they are up and they are moving off rebounds. Hartenstein, they're throwing long outlet passes too quickly, trying to get easy points in transition. I don't know how well it reflects in the stats, but it definitely reflects on the eye test. And I think any series is a good time to lean into transition to Obi time because teams are never really expecting it, especially after made baskets. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks. I think they're number one in transition efficiency in the playoffs. They're like 1.73 points per possession in transition. Now, some of that is fueled by they generated the most. They had like Cleveland had a 17.1 turnover percentage in the first round. That was the highest of any team. That Knicks were a very low. They were like one of the worst in terms of generating turnovers in the regular season. That's just kind of part of the scheme they play. But this speaks to they've been more like Tibbs's flexibility on defense, and not just flexibility, but like I don't know if the game plan will be too different at its core than what we did against Cleveland, where it was like you were selling out to stop Garland and Garland and Mitchell as much as possible. And that meant helping off of the weak side and helping off of their shooters to a totally disrespectful level. Miami is they've shot really hot from three this year. And I feel like they shot well against the Knicks from three in a few games. But that's what you have to do. You have to roll the dice. And like, if we lose because Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Kevin Love and Caleb Martin are just hot from three, so be it. Like, I think you have to force that. But I agree. I think the point is like, if you can juice the offense by getting into like forcing turnovers with a more aggressive, like how aggressive you are playing the ball handler, in this case, Jimmy, that's something to think about. Now, what I would guess, you talked about, we were asked earlier about counters. I would not be surprised to see Jimmy post up a lot in this series. I think Bam will post up. He's not a great post up player, but he can at least get to the elbow area a little bit inside and take his mid-range shot that he loves. But like, I think you'll see a little bit more. I think you'll see Butler post up quite a bit. But like Josh Hart, strong as hell. Grimes has done a good job on him in the post before. I think RJ will do a better job on him in the post now than he did at times in the regular season. It was really weird, actually. I thought RJ had done a good job on Butler until actually it was that 46-point game he had against Miami last year. That was a weird game. If you remember, he got into foul trouble, and like Butler got him into foul trouble with all these bullshit moves in the post. And after that game, like there were a few games in a row, one more at the end of last year and one at the start of this year, where I thought he struggled when Butler did go in the post on him. But in the last time we played Miami, I thought he did a much better job again on Butler. So maybe he got out of that funk against him, whatever it was. And obviously we've seen his uptick defensively in this playoff series, or in this playoffs anyway. So I think they'll be okay with handling that to a degree. But yeah, I think if you can get out in transition, you should always try to get out in transition because that's the most efficient offense you're going to have. And we know Miami, like, I don't care what they were ranked defensively in the regular season. Like they are, and will always be a threat defensively because of how good Spoelstra is and how flexible he is and how much they make you think. So if you can avoid having to think in the half court and have to work around what they're throwing at you, always, yeah, of course, try and do it as much as possible. And to the Knicks' credit, I thought they opportunistically ran very well in the first round against Cleveland. And let's not forget, like, Cleveland was the best defense in basketball this year. And we can sit here and like Garland sucks and Garland and Mitchell sucks on defense and blah, blah, blah. But like they played good defense in the first round against the Knicks. Like they did. The Knicks they were not a good offense the first round. And most teams wouldn't be a good offense against the Cavs. That's just what they are. They're a really, really good defense. The Knicks have already beaten a good defense. And I honestly think like the fact they didn't shoot that well in that series.
And still won. Yeah.
And it also just like doesn't give you a full indication of how well they did execute. They did execute well. They just didn't cash in a lot of open shots. Like Perez has a RJ passing video he's going to drop probably, I don't know when.
I'm going to drop it as soon as the stream ends, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's going to drop. And I mean, you'll see like he had a great passing series, RJ. Like he really did, especially the last 3 or 4 games. Like if guys had cashed in some of the like one, it makes it even more insane to me how bad he was passing out of drives in the regular season. I think he passed out of drives something in the first round, like 45% of drives, which is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that stat. That was insane.
And for the regular season, I want to say was that like, it was not good. He's one of the worst actually in the league, or one of the lowest in terms of frequency anyway, of passing out of drives for high volume drivers. So to see that was awesome. But like, if guys connected on threes effectively, like he would have had, 6, 7, 8 assists in all those games. So yeah, I think RJ could have a big series, and just in general, the Knicks, they've got to if they start cashing in these threes, this could be over pretty quick. I really think the Knicks have a huge talent advantage. They have to capitalize on it.
Yeah. You're talking about, speaking of being over pretty quick, we have a question from Jordan Bub who asks, how do you see the series going, and what would the series score be at the end of the series? It's Knicks in 5 for him. I'll give mine first. I'm also in the Knicks in 5 camp. And I think they'll probably lose maybe the first road game, and then that will be it. And they'll take care of business in 5 at the Garden, which will be pretty sick. What do you guys think?
I'll say Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6. Which 2 are they losing?
I'd say probably one of the first road games, in Miami.
Yeah. AKA MSG South, by the way, which I can't wait to see how that crowd sounds.
Yeah. And yeah, oh man, it's tough to see them losing at the Garden, honestly.
I can't see this team losing at the Garden.
Because I just feel like they just get such a boost. Like, I haven't seen any team really get this much of a boost from their home crowd this entire postseason.
Yeah,
like the Knicks
Beam, bro.
Oh yeah, come on.
They lost at home though.
Yeah,
in these playoffs.
They played a third game though. Knicks only played 2. No, I mean, I think Knicks in 6. I think Jimmy and Spo are worth a win apiece. So I got Knicks in 6.
Yeah, Jimmy will probably will them to a win like he did against Milwaukee, just coming out of nowhere.
It's not scientific, but I think both those, like, they're worth a win apiece about. And
yeah,
after that, I think we're good.
Here, this is the deluxe edition of that question. Do you think the Knicks can make the finals? And if they make the finals, do they have a chance of winning it? Yes and yes. Yes and yes. If the question is, do they have a chance? I'm 100%.
If they can make the finals, then they have a chance, because they're going to play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Boston is the heavy title favorite right now.
They're the hardest opponent we'd have to face.
Yeah,
it's like you go to see the Lakers.
If you look at the odds on sportsbooks, if you look at just what the nerd prediction numbers are saying, the Celtics are the heavy favorite to win the championship. They should be. I know that. I think technically right now we have a higher chance of making the finals than them, which is because of how weak Miami is by the models.
Oh yeah.
Versus Philly. But like, the Celtics are not losing to Philly. They own they own Philly. Like, they literally own.
It's not a rivalry. They always beat our ass.
Yeah, they're that's not a rivalry. It is a rivalry, but it's a one-way rivalry. That's not a good, like, there's no shot they lose that series. It's almost 100% to me they win that series. So if they beat the Celtics, then yeah, they absolutely have a chance. Like, that is the best team in the NBA to me left. I thought Milwaukee was, but apparently not. The Celtics are better than them, or they're. But even if whatever, it doesn't really matter. The Celtics are the best team left in the field. If we beat them, which I do think we have a chance, they're rightfully the favorites. I think we have a chance, but if we do, I mean, then yeah, we absolutely have a chance to make the finals. And I do think we have a chance to beat the Celtics. I'd put it at like 25-30%, but that's a chance. That's not like a bullshit chance either. That's legit.
I would go to 35%. You take games off them, and they look fraudy. They look a little scared. Some of those
they have their moments.
Yeah, some of those Hawks games, I was like, I don't know if this team.
End of Game 5 in Boston.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
They always have these weird end of game moments, but they also score like 120, 130 a game. Like, you have to score to keep up with them. The Knicks can't have one of these like it's cool to win Rockfest, but that's not a team you're gonna have a lot of rock fights against. Like, you're gonna have to score points. So, and I think the Knicks can. We know that they were number 3 in the league in offensive rating, but I think Boston is one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the league this year. If I look, they were first. They were number 1 defensive rebound percentage for the year. If you look just after All-Star break, they were, well, they dripped a little bit, but they were still 13th. Like, they're a good defensive rebounding team. That kind of neutralizes some of the Knicks' advantage. So that's why I would still think Boston beats us, but we definitely have a shot. They struggle defending guards. We know that Brunson and Quickly cooked them at various times this year. I mean, look at the first round. They struggled with DeJounte and Trey Murray at various times. So that works in our favor, but I still think that they ultimately have a little bit too much. Or not a little bit. I think they have quite a bit, but I think they have a little more firepower than us, and that puts them over the top.
Is there a team in the West that you are? This is not like a Morant joke, but is there a team in the West? Is there a team in the West that you actually like are worried about? And who do you think? Who do you think will come out of the West?
I think it will be. I have to see who.
It's gonna be the King.
No, it's if it's
the King.
If it's Kings Lakers, which I think it'll be. I would probably guess the Lakers. I can't stop calling him the fucking King. You're a Knicks fan.
He's the King. He's the King, baby. Come on.
All right, this is what's gonna happen here.
I'm getting muted.
Yeah, you're getting muted. So, yeah, I think. Yeah, I would say the Lakers. I think the Knicks could beat the Lakers. I think the Lakers they've been the number one defensive team basically in basketball since the All-Star break. Their offense still isn't very impressive to me. AD has struggled. He struggled a lot offensively in that Memphis series. He was just amazing defensively. But like they suck in the minutes that he doesn't play. Like they are actually terrible in the minutes that AD doesn't play. He would have played like 40 last night if Memphis could have kept it close, but they couldn't. But like even when they have LeBron without AD on the floor right now, they've not been good. He is the biggest key to that team. And I think the Knicks have, like, if it becomes a rock fight, I still think the Knicks have more firepower than them. Although the Lakers are a good defensive rebounding team also, which, as we talked about, that's a thing. Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't really matter. The point is the Knicks have a chance. They definitely have a chance. If they get there, they have a chance against anybody. I would guess, like, they won't be the favorite in any matchup just because it's like, oh, it's the Knicks. It won't be a matchup. They've been playing like a 60-win team basically since they traded for Josh Hart. Like, it is what it is. At some point, you can't just keep thinking it's like, oh, it's a fluke. It's a fluke. Like, if they win this series, let's say they do win in 5, like some people think. At that point, you have to assume that, like, maybe they're actually good. Like,
just maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's not just that they're, and you can be like, well, they just beat the Cavs weren't that good, and Miami's not that good. Fine. But, like, if they beat both these teams in 5 games, that means they're not just beating them. That means they're, like, whooping them. Yeah.
They're way better than them. Like,
yeah. So, yeah, I would, I mean, of course, the Knicks have a chance.
Okay. Should we thank Stephen A. Shit for fixing RJ Barrett?
No.
We should never thank him for anything.
We should thank him if he ever shuts his mouth.
That would be a great thing. I'll thank him for hours if that's the case. If Jimmy is playing 40 minutes every game in this series, would that be a good thing or a bad thing for the Knicks? Newsflash, Jimmy will be playing 40 minutes every game in the series because the Heat have no players, and he is their best player. So he will be playing 40 minutes every game in the series. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? There are good things about it. There are bad things about it.
Bad things are if he hasn't really going, then
the bad thing is he's like one of the best playoff players like on earth right now. But the good thing is that fatigue exists. I don't know how much it exists for Jimmy, but it does exist. So
yeah, you're just wondering how long can he keep this up?
Yeah, we'll see. Hug Life, who we miss greatly in Discord. Shouldn't Julius dominate a series where he's guarded by Caleb Martin and Kevin Love, or do you see Jimmy guarding him exclusively? I also see Bam guarding him at times. But...
Bam guarded him a lot. Bam's been his primary defender. They throw Jimmy on him at times. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like they might throw Jimmy on him a lot if he's playing because Jimmy can get under your skin, and that's one way to take Randall out of a game.
But if they're gonna throw Jimmy on Randall, that leaves RJ guarded by like a bum, whoever the hell it is.
RJ and Brunson. Yeah. They like it's one of those things though where if Randall's on the floor, he's gonna get X amount of touches. You have to be able to what the hell? What was that? Why did he just turn into this? Why does he have the Prez emoji going on?
Bro, I had to sneeze and blow my nose. I just didn't want to do it on camera. That's it.
No, I think I mean, if that happens, that's great. It leaves Brunson with somebody, it leaves RJ with somebody, but you have to be able to like tell Randall, get the fuck out of the way. And he has to be able to just accept that at times. Like, hey, like you're doing your job in a way. If they are putting Jimmy on you and you just get the fuck out of the way, you're doing your job right there. You've done your job on offense. Great.
Be a good decoy.
Yeah, like that's phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, if he's just getting defended by Caleb Martin and Kevin Love, he absolutely should dominate. But I don't think he'll be defended by those guys. Actually, I think when we played them the last couple of times in Miami and even in New York, so the last 3 times we played them, pretty sure they put Love on Mitch, and then they put Bam on Randall to start those games. And then Love sucked and barely played after the first quarter stints. And I believe in the Milwaukee series, wasn't Love coming off the bench still?
He started towards the end of the series.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what Spoelstra does. He'll mix it up if it's not working. So you just have to be prepared for all that shit. But I would imagine that that's what they would do. That put Love on Mitch and put Randall on, or put Bam on Randall. And actually that's smart, because what it does is if you go and set the screen with Mitch, Love can trap that, he can blitz it, he can hedge it, whatever. That's where Mitch struggles. So that'll be an interesting little chess match in and of itself.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people during one of those last games. A lot of people were wondering why we didn't involve Kevin Love in more pick and roll actions and try to get Mitch more lobs, but like that was the reason why.
Yeah.
This is another one from Jordan, who asks, "Do you think it will be a big IQ series because he breaks out of the last game? Yeah, because he thinks this offense will be in lockstep with his defense, and it could be Knicks in 4."
I honestly don't know. I hope so. It'd be great.
I hope he got his jitters out against Cleveland. It looked like those first 2 games it was a little bit like shaky, but I don't think there's any excuses for him now. So
yeah,
he got the misses out.
I think he's just got to make shots. It looked fine to me the last 3 games.
He's also just got to not be hesitant. I think like in that last game, he was just like letting it fly and playing with like all the confidence and no hesitation, no trepidation. So
yeah, I think he went like 3 of 10 from 3, but I don't care. Like, if he makes
just
one
shoot.
more, well, if he makes one more, we're like, oh, 40%, great. Like that's all it is. Just if you're open, shoot. That's all it is for him. He just can't hesitate. I would like to see him do a little bit more when he's on the ball. I don't know how much of that is him and how much of that is Tibbs kind of like directing things, but yeah, I would still like to see a little bit more of him being aggressive when he's on the ball. But yeah, I mean, the main thing for him is just like, when you have those opportunities, shoot the ball, be it, launch a 3 or attack a closeout, whatever. But yeah,
I think starting the series out at MSG helps him out a ton.
It could. Yeah, that definitely could. He definitely feeds off that energy. And I think defensively, I'm not worried about him at all. He'll be fine. He
also likes to play in Miami. He's had some big games in Miami, and he trains in Miami every summer. It's not that that's like a major deal, but it's something to be, I guess, a little bit excited about.
He's had probably one of the best games of his career.
Yeah,
one of the best games of his career in Miami. He's had some of his best games of his career against Miami too. So, yeah, I mean, he had a big game in Miami this year too. The one that Randall hit that big time shot on. I think Quick had like 20 or something in that game too. He played really well. So yeah, I'm sure. Like he's definitely primed and he's definitely in a position to do so. Like all these, like honestly, him and RJ, they're both in a position here, and they're both in a position to have a good series. Like these matchups should work in their favor, so it's on them to make it happen.
Yeah. Who will be the points per game leader for the Knicks in this series? I think you have to go with Brunson for this answer, right?
It's Brunson.
I would be pleasantly surprised if it's someone other than Brunson, but
if it's like RJ who decides to like dominate.
Miami, if RJ wants to go crazy, bro, go ahead, RJ, go ahead. Oh, Huglife said, "What's up? What up, bro?" Yeah, sir. I believe this is Rook on Twitter. Braun is one more ankle injury away from being a full-time actor. Yeah, he could be. It depends how bad the ankle injury is. PEDs. You never know with him. So, let me see if we got some other stuff in chat. Everybody, drop a like and subscribe. By the way, to the channel. We're trying to get some 1,000 subscribers on here. Yep, we almost there.
Shout out to everyone that's been subbing.
Appreciate it.
Oh, this one we answered this a little bit earlier in the stream, but do you guys think Julius plays tomorrow? Like 1,000%, he's going to be playing. Yeah, questionable. Questionable in Tibbs' language. You're playing, and Quentin, you're also playing. You think Quentin will start?
I mean, yeah, I think
that's
so.
a better question. Yeah, I think so. He will.
Yeah, I think so.
I think just Josh Hart will probably go the distance if like he's just playing that much better on defense on Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, we will see though. I mean, he loves Hart, and Hart obviously started the last 2 games of the series. Knicks won. He played well in both those. I still think the Hart minutes are like. I don't love the Hart RJ combo. I just will not like that. I won't like.
We're somehow still able to get away with it because of like I get like with the Cavs, they just like weren't able to take advantage of anything. And
Well,
with
look, the
Heat, they're
Cavs,
like,
the Cavs don't have depth. Miami doesn't have depth. Like it could still work out. But like, I
Yeah.
still think like I'll put it this way: I'd worry about that, even if we romp the Heat or something. Which I'm not. I just don't think it's going to happen because they're just really annoying, and I imagine this will be an annoying 6-game series or something that the Knicks win. But I do think the Knicks will win. But like. You can get away with that against these teams. I don't think you get away with that against a team like Boston, where, as we talked about, like you're going to have to put up points and spacing, and all that stuff is key to that. The Hart RJ spacing is just not good, and I think it makes life harder for Brunson. I think it makes life harder for Randall too. And I'm not saying all of Randall's struggles are because of that, but it doesn't fucking help, right? Like if he's struggling from 3, it doesn't help when there's not exactly a bunch of space to drive into either. So that's just one where it's something about that combination. I don't think it's great, especially with Randall shooting the way he has in the playoffs. It just kind of makes it harder for everybody. So yeah, definitely a little bit weird about that, but I hope Quentin starts and I hope he makes some fucking shots. He hasn't made the only 3 he made this playoff was that banked in 3, right? So
Yeah.
Would like to see him make a normal 3 at some point. That would be nice.
Something interesting that hit the timeline during the stream. Drew Hanlon put out a big tweet saying, "When people start doubting you, double down on yourself."
so tired
After
of that
game
guy.
2, RJ Barrett made some adjustments and averaged 22 points per game over the final 3 games of the first round. And then he went into some things saying like, "Oh, we addressed what the issue was, and he's in a good spot now."
He's so fucking full of himself.
He put up some 16 game, 20 game segments of the season saying that "Oh, this is what he did." And,
yeah, well, we know RJ has
it's just funny how this guy will always victory lap good RJ games, and then when RJ's not doing anything, he's just nowhere to be found.
We're in the lab, bro. That's
we're locked in. We're locked in.
No, I look. RJ still didn't shoot well from 3 in that series, by the way. That's actually the one thing he didn't do well. I don't really care if what Hanlon did or didn't do. If RJ plays well, he can victory lap whatever the fuck he wants. But no, look, if he's been working with RJ to distribute the ball more when he puts the ball on the deck, cool. I wish that you had.
Yeah, he didn't mention that in these tweets. It sounded more like just shooting mechanic stuff that he was talking about.
Yeah, so what the fuck is he even talking about? Like the best thing that he's done as a scorer in that last round was finishing better, like just getting to the rim and finishing better. It's his shooting wasn't.
He was also just moving way more fluid, moving way more light on the floor, and he looked like he had lost a significant.
He's
amount
definitely
of weight.
lost weight.
So I don't know how much credit Hamlin gets for that. That sounds like
the food bug and the food bug that he came down with, and Haley Brown get most of the credit.
Haley Brown, the real MVP.
Yeah.
Who's guarding Bam? Straight up.
Randall.
Probably Randall. Yeah.
Randall, that's a Kentucky thing. Like they're gonna defend each other.
They have to.
It's Kentucky
pride. I think they're buddies, but they're also, they gotta
the rivalry. You gotta settle it.
Because he had that interview after he hit that 3, his post game, he mentioned it, right? He was like, they asked him something about Bam, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think he's too happy with me right now." Yeah, but they're friends, obviously, but yeah, I mean, he definitely. It's a Kentucky thing, Quickly and Hero are friends, but every time they play each other, I'm sure that they both want to roast each other.
Yeah. This
quickly. One of the things I remember Quickly posted was when he fucking crossed up Maxey.
Oh yeah, he loves that shit.
Yeah.
You kidding me? It was the first slide, and he posted that shit 2 seconds after he sat down after the game. Colin texted me some interesting stats that he pulled. He said these are Jimmy matchup stats. Jimmy Butler this season when guarded by New York Knicks players. He is 6 of 22 against Josh Hart, but I believe some of those were games when he was with Portland. So take that for how you will. 4 of 11 on RJ Barrett and 7 of 16 on Quentin Grimes.
Surprisingly, 7 of 16 on Grimes. I think Grimes did a really good job on him.
Yeah, the Grimes is the best one. None of those are over 50%, but that Grimes one is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I think the samples are always so small where it's what does that mean?
I'm not a big fan of these individual player field goal attempt numbers, but I guess they do say something.
I like Hart on him. I like all these guys on him. That now that RJ got his head out of his ass, I'm fine with him on Bam. I'm fine with Hart on Bam or Hart and Bam. So I'm fine with RJ on Butler. I'm fine with Hart on Butler. I'm fine with Grimes on Butler. I imagine Hart will do most of the Butler defending, especially down the stretch of games. But yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to put some more questions in chat? I did finish, or actually, I have one more from our Discord list from the great Vivek, who asks, "Is Mr. Dolan the best owner in sports?"
We'll find out tonight, right?
Oh, do the Rangers play tonight? That's a big game for them.
Yeah.
Is that tonight?
It's a
I know,
do or
I think
die
so.
elimination game at the Garden.
It is. Oh, tonight at 8:00. That is a huge game.
Yeah.
So there, we can answer that question. Is Mr. Dolan the best owner in sports? We'll answer that after the Rangers take care of business.
I'll tell you this: Mr. Dolan is not the worst owner in sports.
Definitely not.
As much as that, apparently, like that's just a thing that we need to believe. No, he's been fine since like he stopped meddling and
the last time he did something silly was like the Spike Lee entrance night.
That wasn't silly. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was. I was just like.
That was like the most awesome thing he's done. He was so petty.
It was the last time. It was the last time the media had something to yell about.
That was like that was one of the last games before the season shut down because of COVID. That was that Houston game.
Yep, it was the Houston game where RJ bodied PJ Tucker and they cut to Leon Rose clapping, and that was it.
Yeah,
that was the moment our season turned.
That was awesome. He posted that. He posted the fucking entrance on the Knicks PR thing, and then he had a picture from like some security camera way up in the sky showing him and Spike.
It was like an iPhone. It was
hands.
not a security camera.
No,
it was like somebody
dude, it was
just like snipe it down.
No, who's sniping that? It was like him and Spike Lee shaking hands in the grainiest photo possible. Just
that was the season where he cut off the hot water for the Grizzlies after the game. Too,
that was this would be terrific.
So gangster.
Yeah, that was actually awesome.
Dolan is about to put the facial recognition software to good use and block Michael Rappaport from entering.
That would be amazing.
Have you seen him? He's trying to just like act like he never had his whole like a Nets arc, and just saying he's like, "Oh yeah, my Knicks we're back at the Garden on a Sunday." I'm like, dude, like you look at his replies, it's just people eating him alive, which is great.
Listen, Remy's got a lot of things he's got to work out there, so he'll be all right.
Yeah,
he's a moron.
I think we can wrap it up with that, though. We did get through everything in chat. We got through everything from our Discord. Anything else you guys want to
add? No. I think that one thing I'll say, Randall, I'm actually worried about Randall in this series. We didn't mention it in the beginning too much. I think he's a guy that can get rattled. I mentioned Gabe Vincent being dirty. I mean that. Like, I think he's a dirty player, but I think he does it to get under your skin. And I thought he did get under Middleton's skin throughout that series against the Bucks. He's not going to be the primary defender on Randall, but I can see him, doing things that piss Randall off. Butler will do things that piss Randall off. Those two specifically, I would keep an eye on in any moments they're on Randall or around Randall. And I worry about him offensively because the key to beating this Miami team is making quick decisions with the ball. We know that Randall likes to get the ball. He likes to hold on to it, survey survey the lay of the land. Like he's very, very, when he's at his worst, it's when he doesn't make quick decisions. We know that.
Yeah.
So it's key that he have his shit together. If he doesn't, we need Tibbs to be able to do what he did in that Cleveland game at the Garden. You're never going to get a game where Randall only plays 20 minutes, but if he can have the balls and wherewithal to just not play him down the stretch of games when Obi's going better and that unit is going better,
or even Josh Hart.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that in the last series in Game 5, right? That small ball lineup is viable. It's especially viable.
And we saw that when he went out in the regular season as well, when they didn't have the four. So
they've closed out Miami last game of the regular season with that small lineup, or different small lineup, but a small lineup. And the Knicks actually have options now in small lineups. They can go with different combinations. So these are all viable options you can go to. And that doesn't mean I'm saying don't play Randall. That's not what it is. But this is literally any of these guys. If Brunson's having a shitty game and Quickly's going, feel good about that. If RJ's having a shitty game and Grimes has it going, be okay with that. If Hart's having a shitty game and Grimes and RJ have it going, be okay with that. You have options. You don't need to treat anybody like they have to play. The point is to fucking win. It's not about who needs to close or whatever. It's about trying to win.
Egos need to be coddled.
Yeah,
and playoffs. They understand what needs to be done.
Yeah, and to be fair to Randall, the quotes that that came out after that game, when they initially dropped, they didn't sound good. If you watch the interview, I thought they sounded totally fine. He was he basically said that, it's about winning. We have a deep team. got to like we trust everybody on the team. He basically just said like the things you would want him to say. So like if he understands that, great. But even if he doesn't, that's his fucking problem. And that's like if any of these guys are gonna get upset about not closing, that's on them. Like it's not relevant. You have to try to win the games. You have options. Put the best guys on that given night on the floor. So it doesn't matter to me. Like I'm as big a Quickly fan as there is. I didn't care when he didn't close game 1. I didn't care when he didn't close XYZ games because the point is to fucking win. And as long as you're pushing the right buttons to win, that's all that matters. It doesn't
that's all the
matter.
players care about too.
Yeah, it should be at least at the very minimum. So, yeah, that's it. Like if Tibbs can manage the Randall part of it, I think we're okay. But I do worry about Randall in the series. He's the one guy I really like. His temperament can be, we know, like he's volatile. Up and down. He's very volatile. His decision making can lead to his volatile temperament. He can't be frustrated when he doesn't make some threes or whatever. He can't
let that affect his defense.
Yeah, and just affect his defense, his
effort level in general. Yeah,
his effort getting back, his decision making, and also just like, I mean, and he didn't. So this is, I'm not saying but like, you can't be aggro with your fucking teammates and shit like that either. Like we don't have time to have like a whole fucking like halftime therapy session or something with this guy. Like we don't have time for that. Like this is not the time for any of this shit. Fucking get your shit together, everybody. And there's not just Randall, but like, talking about him, he's obviously the guy that has been a roller coaster ride throughout his time in New York. Like just lock in here and get it together. Like we can't have a game 4 like he had against Cleveland. We can't afford to have one of those.
That third quarter was,
I don't know what that was. No, we can't afford that shit. So hopefully he's good to go tomorrow because he is going to go tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. Let's
go Knicks.
Yeah.
Cool. Couple things we got to plug before we get out of here, though. Strickland merch, best merch in the game, best Knicks merch you'll ever get. I'm not wearing it right now, but it's like right here. You already know. Get your hoodies, shirts, mugs, bottles, anything. It's terrific. It's cheap. It's comfortable.
We got the new merch out too.
And more to come. Plenty more to come. We got the
15.
team shirt. Mine is on the way. We also have a Patreon, which gives you access to the best Discord in the game. You come talk 24 hours, 7 days a week. We're talking basketball in there. We're talking wrestling in there. Talking food. Talking other sports. A bunch of stuff. You can yell at Schwinn whenever you want. He's always on there. $6 a month on Patreon. It's the best. Anything else you guys want to plug, Schwinn, Sam?
Check out all of the stuff that we've been putting out content-wise on the site. Matt Miranda wrote an awesome recap / preview / existential crisis about playing the Heat in the second round, which I identify with as somebody who went through way too much trauma growing up as a child watching those series. Check that out. Jeff should have a preview of this series coming out soon. Prez has a video that's going to be uploaded.
I'm gonna post. I got that Prez video. I'm gonna post it right after we finish.
Yeah,
this stream,
that's a really good video on RJ's passing and just how good he was in that first round series because he was fucking great. Even though I hate him and never give him credit. But yeah, check out all that stuff. It's wonderful.
Cool, Sam.
Check out the Run.Down post game after game 1 tomorrow.
Yep, right here where we're at right now. So that's it. Thank you guys for coming out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We're trying to get to 1K subs. We won't get there pretty soon. Leave a like on the stream so everybody else can see it. Leave a comment. Leave a share even. All that stuff helps us out. But yeah, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your afternoon. And we will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the Knicks. That would be fun.